show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor, and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that shift our economies, the culture that colors our lives, the challenges we face with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, no topic is swept aside. We are unfiltered and we are intentional. We bring you experts from across the continent and the world. Voices that know, voices that live the African experience, voices that are shaping the next chapter of our story. Let your spirit rise. We don't just tell Africa's story, we own it. Join Joy Asonye on Razep Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television.
Hello there, many thanks for joining us once again here on Razep Africa. As usual, we are here to give you updates across Africa, getting you abreast with what's going on so that you too would love Africa a bit more every day. But at first, before we get into the topic of the day, where we'll be discussing the conscience question, can Africa's future be built on values, integrity, and moral leadership? That's the question that will be answered by my guest that will be joining us shortly. But first is the African News Update. And on the African News Update desk, we begin in North Africa, where Egypt's President Abdel Fattah is reaffirming Cairo's support for regional stability and cooperation across the continent. In remarks made during high-level engagement with African leaders, El-Sisi reiterated Egypt's commitment to backing African-led solutions to security, political, and economic challenges. He stressed the importance of dialogue, respect for sovereignty, and stronger continental institutions in addressing conflict and development gaps. The Egyptian leader also underscored Cairo's willingness to work closely with regional blocs and neighboring states to promote peace and economic integration. Now, according to observers, the statement comes at a time when Egypt is repositioning itself as a key diplomatic and security player across North and East Africa, particularly amid growing instability in parts of the Sahel and the Horn of Africa. Meanwhile, South Africa has announced plans to withdraw its troops from the United Nations peacekeeping mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo. President Cyril Ramaphosa informed UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres of this decision, ending the nearly 27 years of South African participation in the MONUSCO. Pretoria currently has more than 700 troops deployed in the conflict-prone eastern regions of the DRC. South Africa says that the move is driven by the need to consolidate and realign defense resources, with the withdrawal expected to be completed before the end of the year. However, officials insist that Pretoria will continue to support peace efforts in Congo through diplomatic and regional and multilateral channels, even as fighting escalates in parts of eastern DRC, where MONUSCO maintains close to 11,000 personnel. Turning to the Horn of Africa, Ethiopia has called on Eritrea to pull its troops back to the border amid renewed tension between the two neighbors. Addis Ababa says the continued presence of Eritrean forces in tested areas risk undermining regional stability and reversing fragile gains made since 2018 peace agreement. The call raises fresh concerns about security in the Horn, where unresolved border disputes and shifting alliances continue to threaten peace. Analysts, however, have warned that escalation between Ethiopia and Eritrea could have far-reaching complications and implications for neighboring countries already grappling with humanitarian and security crises. Next, we go to Algeria, that has begun the process of cancelling its air services agreement with the United Arab Emirates, a move that signals growing diplomatic strain between the two countries. This agreement, signed in Abu Dhabi in 2013, allowed commercial air operations between both nations. Algeria's state media confirmed that formal proceedings have been initiated to terminate the deal through diplomatic channels, with the International Civil Aviation Organization also set to be notified. While no official reason has been given, Algerian media has accused the UAE of meddling in regional affairs and attempting to destabilize the country. President Abdelmadjid Tebboune previously hinted at tensions with the one Gulf state, contrasting it with Algeria's brotherly relations with Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, and Oman. The UAE has yet to respond to the latest development. Now, in Central Africa, the Commission of the Economic and Monetary Community of Central Africa, known of course as CEMAC, has announced the suspension of almost all its projects and official missions. The Commission says that the pause will remain in place until there is a significant improvement in the collection of community integration tax, its main source of funding, which state members levy on imports but have increasingly failed to remit. CEMAC brings together 6 countries, that's Cameroon, Gabon, Chad, the Republic of Congo, the Central Republic, and Equatorial Guinea. Officials have also warned that the suspension could slow regional integration efforts, delay infrastructure projects, and affect the free movement of goods at times when the Central Africa is already facing economic pressures and security challenges. And finally, Uganda and Tanzania have moved to strengthen bilateral ties following high-level talks between their leaders. In Dar es Salaam, President Samia Suluhu Hassan hosted Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni with discussions focusing on trade, infrastructure development, and regional peace, reaffirming long-standing ties dating back to the independence in the 1960s. At the heart of talks with the East African crude oil pipeline project, which both leaders described as a symbol of strong cooperation. The $5 billion pipeline is expected to begin transporting Ugandan oil through Tanzania's Tanga port later this year, alongside broader plans to integrate rail network and reduce trade barriers across East Africa. That's it for the news, the African news update this morning, but we're going for a short break. When we come back, it will be time to discuss the conscience question. Can Africa's future be built on values, integrity, and moral leadership? We'll be back to discuss more. Stay with us and don't touch that dial.
Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor, and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that shift our economies, the culture that colors our lives, the challenges we face with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, no topic is swept aside. We are unfiltered and we are intentional. We bring you experts from across the continent and the world. Voices that know, voices that live the African experience, voices that are shaping the next chapter of our story. Let your spirit rise. We don't just tell Africa's story, We own it. Join Joy Asonye on Razep Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television. Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor, and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that shift our economies, the culture that colors our lives, the challenges we face with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, no topic is swept aside. We are unfiltered and we are intentional. We bring you experts from across the continent and the world. Voices that know, voices that live the African experience, voices that are shaping the next chapter of our story. Let your spirit rise. We don't just tell Africa's story, we own it. Join Joy Asonye on Razep Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television.
Welcome back from that break. Now, Africa is one of the most resource-rich continents in the world, yet millions of its people still struggle with poverty, insecurity, corruption, and weak institutions. Of course, experts have often pointed to leadership failure, poor governance, and systemic injustice. But beneath all of this lies a deeper question of the crisis of conscience. From public office to private enterprise, from classrooms to communities, decisions made without integrity continue to shape outcomes for millions. According to Transparency International, many African countries still rank very low on corruption perception despite decades of reforms. Yet history shows that societies that prioritize values, accountability, and ethical leadership tend to experience more sustainable growth. So can Africa truly move forward without fixing its moral compass? And is this even realistic or even possible to expect everyone to cooperate with a good conscience? Joining us today is Ambassador Asha Kayode. He's the CEO of the Conscience Foundation, an organization committed to promoting ethical values, integrity, and moral responsibility across Africa. He believes that Africa's transformation must begin from within, one conscience at a time. Hello, Ambassador. Are you there? Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Good morning.
You see me and hear me?
I can see you and I can hear you. Can you see me and hear me as well?
Fantastic. That's all we need, of course, to hear each other. But I'm happy, and I've always commended the work that you do across Africa to ensure that people understand the need for integrity, people understand the need for moral values, and there's so much to discuss because the landscape seems to be changing. But my first question, I guess, would be, when you keep discussing and talking about conscience. What exactly do you mean in the African context? Because a lot of people will argue that if you put the African continent beside others, we are more conscientious or morally, I don't know if to say morally and noble in our thoughts and words and the things that we do, considering the stories we hear from all over the world. But what is your thoughts on the context of conscience across Africa?
Thank you very much. Well, for we in our own organization, what we do is to reawaken every individual conscience. Now, it's called across the continent, as I was talking about. We are reawakening Africans' conscience, to be conscious of whatever we do and to know our roots. Just like you said, our behaviors, our attitude, all what we do, to be conscious and to make use of it. Moral standard is getting decaying day in, day out. But we need to reawaken that conscience to know that, yes, we African, we are people that we used to behave respectfully. We are people that will honor ourselves and regard people. So in Africa, what we do is just to reawaken every individual conscience. And as an African, we want everyone to respect every individual, both small, old, and middle age. So that is what we are dealing with. For me, maybe, and one thing that I keep telling people is that, more conscience, people say is a moral feeling of right or wrong. But for me, it's a sense, of every healthy human being to perceive what is right and what is wrong. That means before you take an action, you already know that this thing you're about doing is wrong or that is right. And for you to be able to, judge, step down, think through that this thing you're about doing, is it wrong or is it right? So African contextually, like you just said, we have
can get us back in the studio to continue the conversation. But most important is Africa's problem really the conscience that we have or do not have, or lack of resources, integrity in leadership? I mean, that's the question that a lot of Africans ask when it comes to discussing conscience. We grew up as Africans respecting each other, understanding the need for community, the need to be your brother's keeper, true to the word. That's the Africa a lot of us grew up with. Is there a reason why we should start looking inwards now to discuss conscience? That's our questions I would like the expert to come answer for us, because when you still go to certain communities, I keep saying it, if you see anybody in trouble, then an average African will come to your help. He would not consider for at least that split second when you're in trouble to ask where you come from and what religious inclinations you have. The typical African will come to your aid. I saw an accident scene in social media, scrolling social media some time ago, and I saw that in Africa, you could call it weak institutions that have caused it. There was an accident scene in seconds, people gathered, got the person out of that, and people gathered to make sure the car didn't go ablaze. In other parts of the world, they would feel very moral or they'll feel very good about the fact that they have called the authorities that would do it. Even if it takes the authorities 5 minutes, and in a life and death situation, often 5 minutes is a long time. 5 minutes is a lot of time. And I was telling a friend that, yeah, that is the Africa that I know. Nobody would see you in trouble and mind their business. But we're beginning to gradually hear narratives and nuances that Africans are too nosy, and we're beginning to see our fences so raised, so much so that you don't know what your neighbor is doing and you don't know what the next person is doing as well. So it becomes very tough to even communicate and engage with your family members and even your neighbors, to know what is going on in their lives. Those stories we used to hear of other parts of the world where people pass on for a very long time alone in their homes and nobody remembers them at all. So this issue of conscience, is it really practical to even have the conversation? How do you tell a human being to start having conscience? It used to be, I would, before the guest, one of the questions I will ask when we are able to get him back is to know if it is an innate an innate tool, something you should have within, or something you should. I'm just being told now that he's back. Hi, Ambassador Kayode. Are you? Can you hear me now? Like I was saying before. Okay, Ambassador Kayode.
Yes, thank you. I'm back. Can you see me?
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. So many questions right there. I guess the first one to ask, now that you're back, is the biggest problems that Africans face. Is it lack of conscience, or lack of resources, or rather lack of management of resources, integrity in leadership, and all other parts or aspects that needs to be worked on first? Or do we really lack conscience in Africa?
Well, I can't say we lack conscience because conscience is an inherent ability of every human being. It's something that is inbuilt. It's not something we go to the market to buy. So we are not lacking it. Now, what we are lacking is how we apply it to our daily activity, how we apply it to what we're doing, and how we consciously listen to what our conscience is calling our attention to. And like you said, the integrity of our leaders too is something that is driving some majority of African crazy, not wanting to listen to their to dictate of their good conscience. But I don't think we are lacking conscience, because it's something that is within us. It's something that is calling our attention, our action to everything we're about doing. It's just how we religiously, listen to it, carefully listen to it. So the one thing that is lacking majorly these days is just that conscientious. To be conscientious is to always, no matter what you're facing, no matter what is happening around you, you stand your ground that yes, you will always strive to do the right thing. I think that is one thing that is we are finding lacking these days, that people don't want to be that conscientious. To be conscientious, like I said, is you. If 100 people are doing something that is wrong, and you stand out to know that okay, this thing that is actually right, you stand on your right. So this day we find out that people want to follow the majority, even if what they are doing is wrong, they want to just follow like that, knowing fully that yes, this thing that people are doing out there is actually wrong. So what we are lacking is just those kind of people that will stand their ground and say, let's do the right thing. Let's oppose the integrity that we are known for. So that is what is lacking. And like you said, the resources there, yeah, resources there too are also there, because when people don't have the resources to do the right thing too, they intend to look other way to shun their conscience and change the alternative. So that is what I felt that it is actually affecting Africans in general.
Informed you to establish the Conscience Foundation? Is it the lack of it in Africa, or the need to make sure we don't lose it?
Well, I think I have Conscious Foundation is 7 years old now. Will be 8 years by this year. It's actually looking at our society today, the decaying in people, the way people are behaving. You tend to ask yourself, do people have conscience? So we came together. I think we developed a proposal of being a Nigerian with conscience, which later we say being an African with conscience. We just want to reawaken people's conscience. We know that people have this conscience, but our own target is just to reawaken it. We know people have it. Just to awaken it for people to start knowing that, yeah, their conscience is speaking. So what form this is just for people to start thinking inward, So our own thing that made us form is just to reawaken people's conscience. We know that yes, if people start using their good conscience, if people is aware of what their conscience is telling them, yes, the society and Africa at large will be a better place for all of us all.
While you walk across the communities, how does the absence of conscience, how does it show? I mean, in their daily
Yeah,
lives, in beyond the corruption headlines, but in their daily lives and in their activities.
The decaying in conscience is at large now, and that is why we have to keep up this awareness of conscience. It's alarming. It's alarming the rate of what is going on in society. I overheard when you were talking about accident scene when things happen. That is when you start asking yourself of humanity. Firstly, people these days, they just want to create content. No matter, even though somebody is dying, somebody wants to create content out of this. And you ask, where is humanity first? When there's an accident scene, what people do, they bring out their phone, they started taking pictures, started snapping. Somebody will do, instead of looking for a means to send these people to the hospital to get them first aid too. So these are what we are facing in our society today. This what we call make money quick rich syndrome. A child of 15 years want to drive a Range Rover and he doesn't care. And you ask, what conscience is such person using? So the humanity these days is something that is so alarming that we need to all across board to start speaking to ourselves, to start speaking to that inner voice that is telling us to do the right thing. So like you asked me, when I walk across community, society, traveling from one place to another, what I'm seeing is just so alarming. And that is why we are keeping up with the campaign, with the awareness to reawaken people's conscience.
But how realistic is it rather when we are still discussing economic issues, we are discussing security issues, development and development strides and all of that? How realistic is it to talk about values when people just want to survive? They just want to be able to afford a meal, have access to healthcare and survive.
For me, I think it's realistic. I think we African, we are people that will take correction and that will listen. What we just need is just somebody that will call our attention to the right thing. So it is realistic when somebody is doing something wrong and he call their attention, no matter how hungry they are, no matter how in need they are. The moment you call their attention to the values, to the ethics, some of them will still, make you still reason with what you are saying and calm down and use their good conscience. So it's very realistic. What we just need is to step up the awareness and not stop talking.
But Africa has the youngest population in the world. How does the current value system shape the mindset of young people? And are parents failing, are leaders failing, and schools and the media in shaping the minds of young people?
But like I said, we all have a lot of things to do here, and it starts from our leader too, because some of these young ones are copying from what the leaders are doing, and parents too has a big role to play, and the media itself, media these days too, we need to, critically observe what we are sending out to this young one to watch. And fora like this can be helpful when children, when young adults can listen to a message like this. Some of them might have something to take home. So it is a call for action for leadership, for all our leader and our parents to start thinking that, okay, what are we actually teaching this young one, this young lad that are coming up? What are we leaving behind for them? What generation are we leaving behind? So I believe that it's a call for everyone, not just the leaders, not just the parents alone, but or the religious gathering to start preaching this ethics and moral standard in all they do, to inculcate it even in our school these days. When you go to schools these days and you see what is happening, even from teachers too, you ask, what legacy are they leaving for their students? So it's for all of us to start doing the right thing so that the young one will copy from us. So that will be a role model that will leave us something there, that this one, when they grow up to, they say, oh, I'm lifting after somebody like this. I'm looking up to somebody like this.
Now, growing up, there were in my home. You see a lot of those frames that tells you doing the right thing pays. All those moral insights that just so short words. You could be words of marble. It could be very important quotes. But one thing was for sure: you cannot soil your name, and the community respects you. But that is gradually changing in our communities, where we see dishonesty pay or seemingly pay. How do you convince a young African that integrity still matters when it seems like dishonesty is paying for several people who should be role models to these young ones?
Well, like I said, there are still this young one that want to learn, and when you talk to them with love, and you speak to their heart, and you give them example, there's something that in my own place that they used to say, good name surely pays more than riches. There are places that today when you enter and the good names can speak for you, and your money might not even be able to speak for you. So the good name that you create for yourself, that you create for your family, can speak for you. And this young one, you can convince them by giving them example, by letting them know that sure, you might be celebrating this person because he has money on, but this person with good name, with integrity intact, is actually the role model. And giving them back example, laying example to people that have lived that, some of them have hearts that will change. And I believe that we cannot just know that everybody is bad in this country. Everybody have that conscience. And that is that we need to speak to that conscience so that everybody will start doing the right thing. So the young one, they are very willing to change. They are willing. When you watch them, when you talk to them too on the street, some of them are very remorseful when they do something wrong and somebody caution them and speak to their conscience too. You will see some of them, they embrace change and want to live a positive life.
I don't think you've quite addressed the question that I have. Does it matter that the expression of conscience does not necessarily show itself immediately, where, okay, so what, I did a good thing. You don't necessarily see the result of your good action. For instance, you help an old woman cross the road. That in itself is not particularly something that you get an award for. So my question now is, does it matter that rewards don't come immediately when you show conscience? Because one thing is for sure, young people want to see results. Okay, you say I should do a good thing. What's the result I would get immediately after this show of goodwill that you're asking me to do?
All right, like you said, the issue of conscience is not you having an instant reward. It's a matter of you yourself having a satisfaction. It's a matter of you yourself being convinced that you have done something that is right. And in doing something that is right, you don't even know who is watching you. We've seen a lot of things that somebody do something that is right, and later, in some years back, they were recommended for something good. But the major thing is that a issue of conscience is not something you get instant reward for. The reward is you having that satisfaction that yes, you have done something right. It's not for anybody to come and praise you or to come and clap for you. So we need to let this young one know that yes, it is for you to have a convincing mind that yes, you actually have done something right. It is not for everybody to celebrate. People might look down on you. Some people might even call you a demumu or whatever name they are calling you, but within you, you are so satisfied that yeah, what you've done is something that is right. Issue of conscience is something that when you do something that is wrong, your conscience start pricking you, your conscience start judging you. Even when people are not shouting at you, you start being restless. Your conscience, will totally convict you. So it is actually the point where you are so convinced that yeah, what you've done is so right. So you shouldn't be looking after reward. The reward you should be looking after, it should even be from God, the God that sees the heart and see what you're doing, because that is the greater rewarder of every human being. So for me, I don't think the young one should be thinking after, oh, I'm using my conscience, nobody is rewarding me. Keep doing it, because somebody somewhere is actually watching. Somebody is keeping record of your good deeds, and one day, it will surely pay.
Ambassador Ashe, we're going for a short break. When we return, we'll continue the conversation, practical interventions that your foundation has been doing to, implement and promote ethical values and behaviors. We'll be back after this short break. Stay with us, still discussing the conscience question: can Africa's future be built on values, integrity, and moral leadership? We'll be right back after this.
Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor, and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that shift our economies, the culture that colors our lives, the challenges we face with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, no topic is swept aside. We are unfiltered and we are intentional. We bring you experts from across the continent and the world. Voices that know, voices that live the African experience, voices that are shaping the next chapter of our story. Let your spirit rise. We don't just tell Africa's story, we own it. Join Joy Asonye on Razep Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television.
From that very short break, it is still Razep Africa show where we are discussing the conscience. How can the conscience values be built in Africa where it shapes our integrity and moral leadership? That's a conversation we've been having, and we've been having it with Ambassador Ashe Kayode, the CEO of the Conscience Foundation. I have a conscience. That was the theme of one of the events that I attended a couple of years ago. That's on the World Conference Day. Kayode, are you there? Okay. So I guess my next question here would just be, can you talk about the real stories or examples where shift of values have led to measurable change and impact? Because when we're talking about young people, which is often the demographic that we forget, we ignore, we do not see as important as we should, because they hold the future. I know African young people are very tired of hearing us say we are the future, and when the future comes, you realize you're not yet the future. But basically, real stories, we've had that. And do you think that the media is cooperating well in ensuring that these stories shape our lives? How inadvertent media conversations go. Are we hearing it a lot in our movies, in our music? One that represent that need for accountability, integrity, and principles. Okay, so we would still connect with Ambassador Ashe right there, but it's quite commendable what's going on with your foundation, Ashe. I hope we get that connection back, because the media sometimes normalizes bad behavior by focusing only on scandals. Inadvertent, it's not intentional, but I know people who have had to tune off and say, you know what, I am not going to even listen to anything going on in the media, because it seems to have only bad news there. But in that, we've also seen, unfortunately, individuals who, after the announcement of all the wrong things they do, you don't seem to see punitive measures meted that will give a young person watching that feeling that, oh, I should be conscientious, and because if I am not, and I go into crime or social vices, I may be punished like this. You don't want the embarrassment that comes from the community. It used to be so bad that in some communities, if you are caught stealing after a certain time, you are banned from the community, and your entire family would always have that shame of having a family member who is banned from the community for stealing. This is if you put side by side the kind of stealing, the enormity of stealing that used to happen that would require you being banned, you look at what's going on today and you would shudder at the level of stealing that happens. And even with this announcement of individuals who have shown that, proven even that they probably stole public funds, they get the front rows in their religious settings because, of course, what they will contribute. This is a religious setting where you should expect the highest morals, but that's where they get front row seats. And you ask yourself, maybe I am not doing the right thing by doing the right thing. Because if these individuals proven to not be good, is doing the wrong thing and having front row seats and getting traditional titles, why then would I do the right thing and wait for when it is ready? Ambassador Asha, it's good to know you're back. I don't know if you heard that question that I asked of real examples. Are we doing enough in hammering on examples of people who have shown value and principles in our communities, in our societies, so that we send a message? Do you think the media is doing a good enough work?
I don't think the media is doing a lot on this aspect of showing good example. Rather, I think the media is just praising people that are well to do in the society now, not well to do in their moral standard, in their moral behavior, but well to do in wealth, in money. So I think the media need to help, because these days the media have a lot of role to play in shaping the mindset of the young one. The media have a large role to play in even shaping the mindset of our leaders too, changing them, letting them knowing that they are not doing right, they are not doing the right thing. So the media needs to step up by bringing up something, a program like this that will enlighten people to reawaken their conscience, to start, that's something that will prick their conscience, And let me just tell you I have this letter 3C that I keep telling people. And this 3C is to be conscious, conscience, and conscientious. They are related, but there are three things. When you are, I can't hear you.
To be conscious,
Hello?
to be conscientious.
Yeah,
So
the
can you
first
hear me
one is
now?
to conscious. That means the awareness. I can hear you now.
Okay, go ahead.
Conscious, to be conscious. And the second one is conscience. And the third one is conscientious. Now, the conscious is that you are aware about what is happening around you. You are aware about your society. You are aware about what is going on within you, within your community, within Nigeria, within Africa at large. Even the world at large, you are aware of what is going on. And what is your conscience telling you? Your conscience now is your own contribution, your own impact to the society, to see a positive change. And now, like I said earlier on, conscientious that when the 100% person is even doing the wrong thing and you felt it is wrong, you stand to do the right thing. To stand conscientious that, okay, yes, I will be conscientious by doing the right thing. Somebody will follow your path of conscientious and start doing the right thing too. From that person to another person will follow and start doing the right thing too. So we need to leave that legacy that other people will start following to do the right thing.
Something as intangible as conscience, and in the work that you do, how do you ensure that you even know it's working? I mean, you organize seminars and workshops and conferences. You engage with communities from every level. But how do you know? How do you measure the level of your work, the impact of your work?
Well, I have seen a lot of changes across the community that we operated. I've seen feedback from people. And let me just inform you, maybe you don't know, the UN has designated every 5th of April as International.
Okay. I actually know. Can you hear me? Okay,
All
so
over
I
the world.
actually
For us, we
know
have to.
about the International Day of Conscience. That's
Okay.
an event that you organized a couple of years ago that I participated in. It was good to have that conversation where you gathered people from all over, public office holders as well, to come discuss this very important issue. I no longer hear you.
That is it.
Okay,
Changes from
so
people.
I'm being told now that again the connection has failed us and we're unable to connect, but we'll keep trying. It's really good to hear what you're doing there. Like I said, it's not tangible, so sometimes you may not know, but it's good to know that you've seen changes, and I'd like to know what those changes are, because when you talk about conscience, you're unable to really say by looking at anybody. It's not like malnutrition. It's not like hunger that you could say, oh yeah, I haven't had food for days, and you could see the person thinning, and you could calculate malnourished people. But again, how do you measure the work that you do in conscience? You're just about to talk about the UN, the International Day recognizing the need for people to be more to be conscientious rather.
Yeah, like I said, when you're asking me how I measure that, apart from the UN Day, before the UN Day, we've been doing our own activity. And there's this example that I keep telling people that happened years back when we started. A young girl walked up to the mom and said, "Mom," the mom is about picking money in the father's pocket, and asked the mom, "Mom, where is your conscience?" The mom said she paused for a while and said, she asked, who taught you? They say, is it not that Uncle Conscience that is always telling us to use our conscience? No, now the mother was telling him that if the young lady say, "Mommy, fear God," you say, your dad too is not fearing God by hiding money. But when the young lady has that question politely, "Mommy, where is your conscience?" that she paused for a while and she has to return the money, because there's actually a subtle word that speaks to her conscience at that time. And we've seen a lot of places that we intervene between husband and wife and ask them to use their conscience, and the result, is wow. Among my peer, whenever I step into them, they will say, "Oh, Mr. Conscience, you are here." I will start using my conscience. I think sometimes they go, we conduct an election, and everybody say, "This election now, we will all use our good conscience." That is the impact of what we are seeing, because they know that, okay, there is an organization that is talking about conscience. Wherever we step on, people will say, "Oh, I am someone with good conscience." In fact, the name of our NGO alone is an affirming word. I have conscience. It's a word that when you speak, when you say you have conscience, you start asking yourself, yes, how are you using the conscience too? So
It's very important to know. There was growing up
we have measured our
these were
impact society in
words
a high
that you
level. We have
grew
seen
up
feedback
listening
from
to
people
from
from
your
schools.
older
We
ones,
have
from everyone. Do you have conscience? Please show your conscience in everything you're doing. It comes in as you lay your bed. That's how you lay on you lay on it. But we're really running out of time. So Ambassador Kayode, I would like to ask if we have at the moment plans. What are the plans you have for the year? 5th of April is just by the corner. What are you planning that's different from what you've been doing over the years, or what's just the role of activities, and how can people participate in it?
We in Nigeria, where I'm from, right? We are planning for election. The campaign is on, so we just want to have a conference, political gathering, religious gathering, to appeal to people conscience that no matter what you are doing, be able to use your good conscience, because no matter the position you are vying for, Nigeria still remain Nigeria, Africa still remain Africa. So let us try to remember to use our conscience in whatsoever thing we are doing, being in campaign, being in election, being the position you hold to. So the plan we are having now is that on 5th, we are having a conference coming in Abuja, though this year fall on holiday, so we might shift it to 10th of April, because 5th of this April is Easter and everybody will be enjoying holiday. So we are trying to shift the program to 10, while we have young ones from various schools, while we have teachers, we have political leaders, upcoming politicians coming to talk about this issue of conscience, to reawaken their conscience to a positive and a constructive society. And we're also using this video to invite the media too, people that are watching us, that you can be part of it. You can be, we have started already. We have started already talking to people, consulting people on what we need to do to reach out to more people.
Across Africa, are there differences? I mean, when you reach out to people in Gambia, is it the same strategy or framework you use in addressing them? Are there countries across Africa that you say, I don't have too much work to do here, I understand there's so much work to do in the other?
I think every part of Africa, we have a lot of things to do. Africans, leader, everybody, the behavior is the same mentality all over Africa. So we have a lot of work. We are still networking, we are still building the network. We are trying to reach out to people across Africa so that the message will reach the nook and corner of Africa.
Right. So how do you get ambassadors and people interested in this who come together to join you in promulgating this word of conscience across Africa?
Well, what we do is that various platforms that we belong to, we keep, talking to people, and we've seen quite a number of people that are willing to join, because the issue of conscience is unique, and everybody know that, yes, it's actually a critical point that we need to address to have things right. So people are interested, just that we are still not there yet. We are gradually meeting people. When we meet people, we talk to them. Some of them are willing to join, and when they will to join, you say it's all about know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. So from somebody, we are connecting to other things. But right now, we are still deeply rooted in Nigeria, and we are expanding collectively to other African nations too.
Young people listening to you and saying, okay, my mother probably has never said this like this, my pastor or religious leader has not put it in this way, I resonate with what he's saying. What's your advice to them?
My advice to them is just that you yourself should be able to do the right thing, know the right thing, and do the right thing. And I want to say it's not about what somebody is telling you, it's about what you believe within yourself, the conviction you have yourself that what you are doing is actually the right thing. I just want to advise everyone listening to me, watching me right now, that see, the greater the reward is you having that peace of mind that you've done something right. That peace of mind that, yes, what you are doing is actually the right thing. And that is just the best thing. Not when you are getting the recognition that you know within yourself that you don't even deserve it, that people are just sweet mouth you, but you yourself, you know that, yes, you have actually done well. I keep telling people that people might be singing, praising you, and you yourself, you know that you are not doing the right thing. I remember sometimes ago, want to give somebody a word of conscience ambassador, and the man said, I did not deserve this because I know I'm 40 in this, I know I'm 40 in this, and so I cannot be called conscience ambassador. And with that, that person knows that, yes, there are a lot of things that he is not doing right, and that he needs to start doing them right. So for everybody out there, please, you are the best version of yourself. You are the only one that can convince yourself that your action is actually right. So it's all about yourself and your God. That is just like I keep telling people, because the issue of conscience is about you and your God, not just about human being. It's about you and your God.
For that, thank you for your contributions right there. And that's what we do here, awaken the conscience of individuals, especially as it affects Africa. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much for the good work.
have come to the end of today's edition of Razep Africa. I've had such a wonderful time talking about Africa, the conscience that we need, integrity and leadership principles. But until next time when we come your way, have a wonderful rest of the day.
Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that shift our economies, the culture that colors our lives, the challenges we face with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, no topic is swept aside. We are unfiltered and we are intentional. We bring you experts from across the continent and the world. Voices that know, voices that live the African experience, voices that are shaping the next chapter of our story. Let your spirit rise. We don't just tell Africa's story, we own it. Join Joy Asonye on Razep Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television.